Today's Mass readings. July 19, 2020. Sunday of the 16th week in Ordinary Time. First reading. A reading from the Wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom chapter 12 verse 13 and 16 to 19. There is no God besides you who have the care of all, that you need show you have not unjustly condemned. For your might is the source of justice. Your mastery over all things makes you lenient to all. For you show your might when the perfection of your power is disbelieved. And in those who know you, you rebuke temerity. But though you are master of might, you judge with clemency, and with much lenience you govern us. For power, whenever you will, attends you. And you taught your people, by these deeds, that those who are just must be kind. And you gave your children good ground for hope, that you would permit repentance for their sins. The Word of the Lord. Responsorial Psalm. P.S. Psalms chapter 86 verse 5 to 6, 9 to 10 and 15 to 16. Let our response be, Lord, you are good and forgiving. You, O Lord, are good and forgiving, abounding in kindness to all who call upon you. Hearken, O Lord, to my prayer, and attend to the sound of my pleading. Lord, you are good and forgiving. All the nations you have made shall come and worship you, O Lord, and glorify your name. For you are great, and you do wondrous deeds. You alone are God. Lord, you are good and forgiving. You, O Lord, are a God merciful and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in kindness and fidelity. Turn toward me, and have pity on me. Give your strength to your servant. Lord, you are good and forgiving. Second reading. A reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Romans. Romans chapter 8 verse 26 to 27. Brothers and sisters, the Spirit comes to the aid of our weakness. For we do not know how to pray as we ought, but the Spirit Himself intercedes with inexpressible groanings. And the one who searches hearts knows what is the intention of the Spirit, because He intercedes for the holy ones, according to God's will. The Word of the Lord. Before we proceed with the video, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. Also, please hit the notification bell, so you won't miss out when we release new videos. Feel free to share your comments, suggestions, and reflections at the comments section down below. Thank you and God bless. Now, let's proceed with the video. Gospel reading. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Matthew chapter 13 verse 24 to 30. Jesus proposed another parable to the crowds, saying, The kingdom of heaven may be likened to a man who sowed good seed in his field. While everyone was asleep, his enemy came and sowed weeds all through the wheat, and then went off. When the crop grew and bore fruit, the weeds appeared as well. The slaves of the householder came to him and said, Master, did you not sow good seed in your field? Where have the weeds come from? He answered, An enemy has done this. His slaves said to him, Do you want us to go and pull them up? He replied, No, if you pull up the weeds, you might uproot the wheat along with them. Let them grow together until harvest. Then at harvest time I will say to the harvesters, First collect the weeds and tie them in bundles for burning, but gather the wheat into my barn. The Gospel of the Lord. The reflection on today's Gospel. The owner of the field showed tolerance and patience. I allow my life to be judged only by God. not letting my conclusions or those of others claim the last word. Weeds compete with the crop for light, nutrients and water. I take care not to let the enemy sow weeds in my life, and ask God to take care of the field that I am. The idea that good and bad might coexist gives trouble to the tidy mind. Jesus does not encourage a simplistic approach, but calls us to humility, patience and tolerance as we allow God to work in our lives. There are weeds in my life for sure, but they are not the measure of the harvest that God values in me. I ask for help that my habits and choices may give growth to what is good and true. Jesus does not condone or encourage what is not of God, yet he seems to be able to acknowledge that different motivations and spirits are at work. How might I let this Spirit of Jesus shape my life? Perhaps I can look back on events in my life that seemed barren or weedy, and see now that God was at work. What does that say to me about judging, hope or perspective?